Welcome. Will you please state your name, when you joined the chorus, and how long you were in the chorus?
Oh, good afternoon, Jim. It's great to be with you on this Friday afternoon in January. And hello to my fellow choristers and alumni choristers. I'm Rich McFeaters, retired from the chorus after 25 years of service. I joined the chorus. Wasn't that a line in an album we used? I joined the chorus in January of 1985 and remained a singing member through the June concert of 2010. So I just finished up on 25 years on that and enjoyed every one of the moments on that. This little exercise that you've been doing on this has just taken me down memory lane. It's really been a delight to do that. So I also want to thank you, Jim, for preserving the course of the history and doing this oral project history on that. You've done a tremendous job and it's really appreciated by us alumni spread out all over the country on that. So thanks. As I said, I joined the chorus, and I have a little side note to this one. It might interest some of the old time chorus members on that. I worked for Nabisco, as you all know, made cookies and crackers for a living on that. But I was transferred to North Jersey in May of 1984. And I went to the Gay Pride March in June of 84. And at that time, it was a little bit more of a street theater on that. And they used to line up the volunteer groups on Christopher Street, South Christopher Street, south of Hudson. And you'd go there and get information and brochures and the rest of it. And the chorus had a booth. And I stepped up to the booth and said, hey, I've heard of the chorus. I was actually at the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus concert in the Kennedy Center in July of 1981 on their first historic tour of the country. And so I had gay choral in the back of my mind. I walked up to the table and there was somebody in front of me who was obviously drunk. He was just absolutely 5 sheets to the wind. And the person behind the table, who will remain nameless, said to the guy, you have to be able to sight read and be able to sing opera. And the guy said, well, I can't do that. And he just walked away. And I stepped up to the table and I said, well, I've sung in church choirs and alumni choruses and that sort of stuff. And I can sight read a little bit, but opera, that's just not my thing on that. He said, oh, don't worry about that. We'll put your application in. So I sort of forgot about it. And that November, I was on a trip to Rome. And I'm standing in a gay bar nursing a drink, and in comes this gaggle of Americans. And when you're in a foreign country, as you know, when you hear English, you sort of go over there and start chatting with them because they're obviously Americans. And I went over, and it was a whole gaggle of choristers from the Pan Am Chorus Angelorum, which was Dick Cable, Marty Christian, John Rollins, and Terry Hill, I remember on that. And I started talking to them about that, and they were telling me about the Pan Am chorus that they went around the world singing for Pan Am, but they were all members of the Gay Men's Chorus in New York City. And I went, well, hey, I tried to apply, but never heard a response back. And I think it was Terry Hill said, oh, here's Shelley Post's number. Give him a call when you get back, and we'll get you scheduled for an audition. So that was December of 84, and I joined the chorus in January of 1985, when we used to rehearse at Greenwich House there on Barrow Street on that. And so I remember going into the city this dark, cold winter night. It was probably 15 degrees, and went in and had a wonderful, warm and welcoming experience on that. Patrick Meehan was my buddy because he was also a New Jersey guy on that. And that was my beginning days of the chorus on that. So I always said it took me to go a trip to Rome to join the New York City Gay Men's Chorus on that through these members that were very kind to me that way.
Great. That's a great story.
Right. And if I can interrupt for one other one on this, if we're doing an introduction, this is January 7th. We know the turmoil and commotion that's going on in Washington, D.C. right now. I literally just saw that we might be getting rid of the Orange Menace a little quicker than we might anticipate. But in August of 1981, when the chorus was getting ready to go on their second European tour, which was a more volunteer, we were doing homestays, it wasn't quite as professionally run as the first tour on that, is when the Soviet Union imploded on August the 7th, and we were leaving August 22nd to tour Europe. And I remember Gary Miller and the board and I all got together and said, do we need to pull the plug? You know, I mean, we had no idea in early August that it was a coup d'etat within the Soviet Union. It would only remain inside the Soviet Union. But here we are having all these political troubles in Washington, D.C. right now. And it goes back to another chorus experience back there in August of 91. Kind of remarkable that those things happen as they all swirl around us.
Could you tell us a little bit about why you wanted to join the chorus?
Well, I always was in church choirs. I was in Penn State Glee clubs. I'd always sung that sort of stuff on there. But having lived in South Jersey, I was also the past president of the Philadelphia Gay Switchboard. And much like New York City, the whole gay scene in Philadelphia ran around downtown Philadelphia, what was called Spruce Street in Philadelphia. And living in New Jersey, you were sort of on the outer orbit of that. They just didn't really interact with you that much. So moving to North Jersey and moving at that time to Hackensack, New Jersey, I knew that the gay village and the Christopher Street would be the center of attention on that. So when I went in there, and as I said, the Gay Pride Parade, and saw the whole chorus, knowing that that was going to be the center core, that was the place to go and join the chorus on that. It was also the idea in 1985 of gay men getting together and performing. You know, male musical tradition is a very big thing around here, doing well on that. So it's nothing unheard of in history, but to have gay men stand on stage and sing "The Man I Love" was just so moving and so inspirational. And we were outreaching. I mean, we were really, really different that way. So it was really something.
Could you tell us what your initial experience was like with the chorus? Your first rehearsal or concert, anything along those lines?
Well, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, the first rehearsal was in January. We're in Greenwich House, the two-story theater in there. My first concert was March of '85. I tried looking up my records. I don't remember the title of that concert. I know you have it listed on a spreadsheet, but it was one of our Broadway extravaganzas that we had a whole gaggle of Broadway stars there performing with us. And at that time, that was at old Carnegie Hall before they remodeled it. And they actually had two stairwells on either side of the stage. So the big massive chorus would have to come on in 4 rows at a time, because otherwise they ran out of applause in the audience. So I was on the left stairwell, and I remember my knees going about 90 miles an hour. They were just shaking like a leaf in a windstorm as I walked on stage. And there's nothing like Carnegie Hall applause. There's just something about the sound, the room, the audience, our audience on that. And once you heard that, it just relaxed me down and did very, very well that way. And so to go on to another contingent later on, when I was chair of the chorus and used to do the chorus welcome announcement at the holiday concert, those rubbery knees came back the very, very first time that I walked out on that Carnegie Hall stage alone with a microphone. And that follow spot, as Elaine Stritch always says, that follow spot hits you in the eye, and the audience kind of disappears. I mean, you really don't see the individual faces on that, but you know you're the center of attention on that. And that was, again, my knee inside that tuxedo pant leg was just blowing away as, again, a leaf in the breeze.
Could you talk about a favorite moment or two you've had in the chorus?
Well, I guess I go back to the early days, again, when we were so new and we were so unique on that. From that March concert, June Pride concert of '85, the next big event was on there, was we did a 5th anniversary concert at Hunter College on that to celebrate the chorus's 5th birthday on that. It was a free concert. The chorus came back for rehearsals in late August to prepare for this concert. And I remember this book of music being dropped on my lap, and they're going, "We're going to sing this whole thing from book." And I'm going, there's no way. There's absolutely no way I'm going to be able to memorize literally this entire concert in 2 weeks on that. And I remember turning to somebody in the chorus and say, "What do I do?" And they just said, "Sing Watermelon, Fake It, and Smile a Lot." And that's what I did for that concert on there, because I barely knew the notes on that. But those were some of the memorable concerts on that one that we did as public outreach. And then to go right to the top of the hill, the next concert was the November 1985 concert, The Best of the Best, that we were guest stars with literally internationally known stars at the Metropolitan Opera stage. And we sang My Buddy. And I remember the tears just running down my cheek as we dealt with the early days of the AIDS crisis and fundraising for GMHC back then. And you looked around on stage, and I tried to write down on my list here, there was Bette Midler, Lily Tomlin, Bernadette Peters, Sally Struthers, Leroy Reams, Jerry Herman, Peter Allen, Cheetah Rivera, Dorothy Loudon. We were all starstruck on that. And then after this whole massive concert on that, there was a buffet dinner on the balconies outside, and we were all invited to stand there. And all these stars came by and were shaking our hands and saying how wonderful we were. And we're going, we're a bunch of amateurs. We're just a bunch of, street musicians on that. And here you are, these professional people. They were so kind and so respectful for that. So that's a highlight for me, to have that sort of opportunity to meet people that I would never interact with on that. And then going on to the other things that we did, the holiday concerts were always my favorite. Sort of the pecking order of concerts in order was the holiday was always a wonderful time. Carnegie Hall decorated the way it was. The March concert was normally a Broadway extravaganza, or we had a special theme for it. And then there was the June concert, where we did wonderful gay inspired music. We did Walt Whitman pieces. We did, I can't think of them all right now, Randall Thompson's Hallelujah, those sort of things. But we also always had a famous commission piece. Now, some of these commission pieces were wonderful, inspiring, inspirational, and some of them were a lot of work to learn and memorize, or they had different languages in it. Sometimes they weren't always the favorite things to do, but the June Pride concerts was always our outreach to the local audience on that. So those are all some of the highlights that way.
Do you have a favorite song that you've sung in the chorus, and why?
Well, that's a very difficult question to answer, because it's much like having pets or children on that. You can't identify one song as your absolute favorite. There were many, many moments on that we sang that were just inspiring on that. I think some of the Mark Reese's, what were known as the Reese's pieces at the holiday concerts, were very inspirational, knowing that our own chorus member had arranged those songs on that. Anything by Larry Moore. Larry Moore was famous for his medleys of songs. Our holiday chorus sing-along was always, to me, an inspiration that really involved the audience in the holiday spirit and the spirit that the chorus was putting out that way. Some of our off-Broadway performances, of course, the famous Elaine Stritch at BAM in Brooklyn, where dear Elaine rearranged not only the words, but the lyrics, the arrangement, everything in rehearsal and then on stage, but also just to stand there with her in front of us was remarkable that way. I think also we could say the Marilyn Horn concert, our first classical concert that we did, to have somebody of that stature come and sing with us at Carnegie Hall stage. I think I have this title correct, Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was 60 Years with Bruce and Jean. The little mini operetta that we did at the Tampa Gala on that, which was a story of two gay men growing up together and losing each other on that. Very, very powerful that way. The Hairspray medley, all of the fun that we had on some of those things that we did that way. There's so many things that the chorus has reached out to identify one song is kind of hard that way. I probably also lean towards the albums, towards the CDs out there, because I all have them on my playlist on there. So I'm able to sing along to my own self in my mind, or if no one's around, in the shower or outside. So I can sing a lot of the song, Love Lives On, Loving You, holiday concert songs on that, because they're all available to sing to the songs that we recorded back then. And that's one thing I just also wanted to bring up on here, that I think it's very big accomplishment of the chorus to receive, not only to put out our first album, the Pro Arte album, the New York album, but to have the first professional contract from a major recording company, Virgin Records, to pick us up and offer to distribute our first, it was the Love Lives On album on that. It was so popular and good, and they were invited to the holiday concert. They were so impressed with that. They asked us to record in January, the holiday concert on that. And I remember receiving a contract from Virgin Records, being a British company. And Michael Goldstein got me involved with some lawyer who was in the entertainment business, and he went through it line by line. And really, it was a remarkable thing, but we were outreaching that way. And that was one of the side tales I wanted to tell. Also, being in the chorus gave me the power to come out to family and friends. And I always got great pleasure calling up some business or some printing company or whoever and saying, hi, I'm from the New York City Gay Men's Chorus. And there was this pause that you could drive a truck through as they reacted to the word gay. Now, this is 1985, 1990 in there, before, as Oscar Wilde said, the love that dare not speak its name won't shut up. Today, gay is everywhere. We've got RuPaul Drag Race. We've got gay newspapers. We've got The Advocate. We've got gay choruses on that. But back in that day, it was a little strange that way. So when you did the business of the chorus, you always got a strange reaction from people when you put the word gay in the title.
Of the concerts you've done, do you have a favorite or two?
Well, I think the touring concerts, because we got to know the music so well. I'll use the case in point, the European 91 tour. It was music that was in our repertoire. We had just performed that June concert with most of the music. But by the time we hit London and then Amsterdam, we knew that music inside out and backwards. And it just came very naturally to us to get on stage and sing your soul out and sing your song out. Our West Coast tour in 1998, where we went to our fellow choristers in San Francisco, Seattle, and Los Angeles, was a wonderful, memorable experience, because we were reaching out to the the older brother choruses. I mean, I always said San Francisco was the older brother to the New York City Gay Men's Chorus, being the first one in the country on that to organize. So it was like singing with your family out there. You had a great reception on that. In addition, we were staying with private people. You got to know people. You got to know individuals on that, other than just choristers on that. So those concert tours were really, really special.
What is your most memorable thing about being in the chorus?
Well, growing up, I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the western part of the state, rather conservative on that. Went through the standard coming out phase on that, living in Atlanta and Philadelphia. But coming to New York and being part of the Gay Men's Chorus, you became part of a family. And that was the other thing I wanted to mention. It was one of the great satisfactions of that as the AIDS crisis deepened in the chorus in the late 80s and early 90s. When one of our choristers got in trouble, whether it was financially, medically, living space on that, there was usually a gaggle of choristers who got together and sort of took care of them on that. And my first real experience was with J.R. Robbins, a tenor two member, sort of adopted me. He gave me the famous line that always applied to me, that if Keebler had elves, Nabisco had fairies. And so I always attribute that to J.R. Robbins of giving me that title on that one. But he was very, very ill. It was early in the AIDS crisis. There was no medications on that. He'd lost his apartment on that. And there was a gaggle that came together, gave him a place to live, helped him process his life together, and really was there to escort him on to his next. And that happened many, many times within the chorus, whether you knew somebody or not. There was always a group of people around her, like a family, that took care of everybody. So that was really a moving experience on that one. And then just to be part of the gay coming out of the 80s and 90s, as I said, we were new on the block. We were different out there. We were a novelty that got attention on that. We got press releases, we got TV cameras, we got all sorts of things coming in there that today's chorus has moved on. They're into a different realm on that. And maybe I'm a little jealous of today's chorus and maybe the chorus organization, because I go back, and Jim, you and I go back to where everything was done on typewriters or pen and paper, or while you were out messaging pads. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have email. We didn't have blasts. We used to stand on the corner of Christopher Street and Hudson selling raffle tickets to raise raffle and funds for the chorus and raffle something off. But we then took their name and address and used that as our mailing list to mail out our seasonal brochures. And then we would get yelled at. People would send letters or call us saying, how dare you send a piece of mail with the word gay in it? And we literally, on some of the envelopes we mailed out in mass mailings, we put on Big Apple Performing Arts, because it was that sensitive of a subject at that time that you could not have, even people were sensitive about gay males. To see that change in my lifetime between 1985 and 2020 is really a remarkable thing. And the chorus was at the forefront of that. And as we said in our preamble and our mission statements, we're here to raise pride and song through our music. And we did. And I think we really made an accomplishment. And then you throw on the outreach concerts where we went out to Long Island and Stony Brook and Troy, New York, and Asbury Park and Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. I was not in the chorus when they had the famous incident with the Choral Directors Guild on that, but that certainly was a chorus legend of how we literally stood up for our rights and how we used our name. And also how we were a little bit irked that the other gay men's choruses in the country would not use the word gay in their title. And we're saying, we're in New York, we are the Gay Men's Chorus. We're not going to hide that fact. We're going to be who we are. And so I was always proud of that fact that we stood up for what we wanted to do and what we believed in. And hence why we were invited to the first AIDS memorial quilt in, I believe that was 1991 in Washington, D.C., with Harvey Fierstein leading the crowd at the mall on the AIDS review on that. How we got some of our invites to political things on that. It was really remarkable that way.
Finally, the chorus has led the way on many important moments over the years. How do you see the chorus leading the way to change going forward?
Well, I think that we've survived now, this being our 40th anniversary and well on our way to 50 that way, that we show we're a strong, stable organization. We have a wonderful reputation within the New York area, New York State, within the United States on that. I was thrilled when the chorus put the Youth Pride ensemble together and had the Youth Pride concerts to show to the youngsters coming up today. I'm sure it's not very easy coming out today to parents, to friends, to acquaintances on that. It still is difficult when you accept yourself personally. But by having these images out there of the Gay Men's Chorus doing street fairs and that sort of stuff, we show a role model to those up and coming youngsters who want to show that way. I also like the idea that we're still doing our community outreach on that. We still need to outreach to our minority communities. We still need to outreach to the Latino communities on that to show that we are here. We're singing in song. We're proud of what we're doing on that. And I really think it's part of the movement on that. I haven't been able to follow gala on the national level as much as I used to, particularly when we had the confabs on that. And I know this year's confab was delayed because of the COVID crisis on that. But I don't see a lot from them on outreach to the communities on that. Again, I could be entirely wrong and they're doing a lot. I'm just not aware of it. But I think they should step up their outreach program and get a little bit more visible, again, to say to those youngsters out in the heartland of the country who are being harassed on a daily basis, who are being bullied for being gay and lesbian on that. I think the chorus has an opportunity there to continue its leadership role in the biggest entertainment capital of the country on that. And by having some of our chorus members who are in the industry and who've given us the insides, tracks and trails on that, I think we just need to pursue that. I would love to see another album put out by the chorus of contemporary hits on that, or the American Songbook on that, sung from a gay male perspective, or a tribute album to gay composers out there. I think those are great opportunities out there for the chorus to fill a niche that just is missing out there right now. And then use these modern tools of Zoom meetings and emails and memes and all this other stuff out there to get the word out there and be part of the year 2021 as we move forward that way.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Again, down here in South Florida, we don't have a chorus. I miss that aspect of that. I send my love and support. I think the advantage of Facebook on that for the us chorus alumni that are on there, it's great keeping in touch with some of the fellow choreens that are spread out around the country that way. In some ways, I'd also like to suggest on camera we get Gary Miller on there, because obviously he has some tales going back of the political nature of what they were involved with on there that happened over the years on that. I think he has a great tale to tell. I'm very thrilled with the people we've selected so far. I'd like you to continue this if you have the time and effort to do that. So best of wishes to the chorus and their next concert on that. Hopefully we get back off these Zoom concerts, the virtual reality concert, and we get back onto a live stage here in the next year or two. Unfortunately, I think that timing is what's going to be reality. But to get back there and get that Carnegie Hall applause stage on that, I'd like to see the 45th or the 50th anniversary concert back there in Carnegie Hall stage on that to really make a memorable experience.
Thanks for participating, Rick.
Thank you, Jim. Best of wishes to you. Stay safe. Wash your hands, as we're saying right now. Great having a chat with you.